your boundaries say just as much about what you value as what you don't.
If you got abused or you got told no a lot or you got conditioned or guilted or shamed for when you did maybe do some things that were maybe irrational, check in with yourself emotionally and say, am I still running that same paradigm? Am I still running and conditioned? And break free from that as an adult.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode number 1465, Juggling Emotion and Logic. Today, for episode number 1466, What Your Boundaries Teach You About Yourself. Was perusing the Instagram the other day, and I came across this video that really caught my attention. It was this young lady on stage talking about, and I always say I'm going to figure out who did the video and give them credit. And I was like, well, I think this is a TED Talk. It shouldn't be that hard to find. I couldn't find it to save my life. I looked for like 15 minutes. I couldn't find it. There's been a lot of TED Talks about boundaries, but it caught my attention because she said, I once dated an entrepreneur, and he was really, really, really good at saying no. He was really, really, really good at setting boundaries. He was really, really, really good at protecting his time. And she said, and I think this is what she said, this is what I took from it. At the beginning, it seemed very cold and calculated. But the more I got to know him and the more I saw what he was saying no to, I realized that his boundaries of saying no were actually just him saying yes to things that he valued more. I remember early in our journey, Alan, I got invited to a bachelor party, and I think it was, I don't know if it was across the country. It might have even been local. It was probably a couple hours away, but I got invited, and I told my buddy, I said, I'm not going to go to this, right? There's no way I can go to this. And I said, it's more important to me to stay and work on the business. It's just more important to me. That's what I want to be doing. I don't want to be going to a bachelor party. This is the other thing too. When you have something that you love, at times it becomes a convenient excuse for you to set boundaries easier. It's very easy for me to say, no, I can't go off the grid somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I have to record podcast episodes. And if I don't have Wi-Fi, I can't do it. That's a boundary for me. I can't just be out in the woods without Wi-Fi. It doesn't work. Or I have to have access to my clients. I have to have access to the team. I can't not do that. What if you were able to, and again, this is something I think we're all working on. Alan and I are working on this as well. But what if we were able to say to ourselves, okay, it's very hard for me to set a boundary because I feel like I'm letting someone else down. But what if I was able to build a new relationship with the understanding that every time I set a boundary, I'm actually saying yes to something that I value more, and you start to understand what you value more. If you could either listen to an episode of NLU or watch whatever your favorite TV show is, and you pick the TV show, that just means you value the TV show more than us. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If you would listen to NLU over your favorite TV show, I would say you value self-improvement at a very, very high level. Understanding that is super important because eventually somebody might reach out and say, hey, do you want to go to this concert? When you have a coaching call with Alan, you might regret it if you go to the concert, or you might regret it if you do the call with Alan. It depends on what your boundaries are. More likely the second one, based on what you value. So my early next level nugget in this one, very early, very preemptive, is your boundaries say just as much about what you value as what you don't. That's my early, preemptive, next level nugget.
When we were on the Conscious Couples podcast, this is probably 40 or so episodes in, Emilia said boundaries are honoring a core value. That's the purpose of a boundary. The purpose of a boundary is to honor a core value. And so if you're going to the gym instead of going to a barbecue, you are honoring your core value of fitness. And if we look at it like that, we won't feel as guilty or feel as ashamed. I told Kev before this episode that I wanted to get to the belief system underneath why it's so hard for us to set boundaries. I think Kev is better at setting boundaries than I am. He didn't want to go to college when everyone was going to college. He didn't want to go to parties when everyone wanted to party. He was very different, an odd duck from the get.
Odd duck.
If
you see me shuffling over here, it's because my laptop sounds it's going to take off. The helicopter turned on, so I'm trying to...
Mine does too, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to remove the thing I have underneath, the base, but I don't know if I'm going to do it, so...
I also just realized, Kev, we have our mics on the different setting.
So we did this. I think we did originally. Oh, yeah.
I think we didn't on the other one that you... It doesn't matter. The point is
we're still working through our audio issues. We will never stop fixing.
We will
the problems.
Always improve. I told Emilia we're going to better our old best. We have a specific episode that we think was the best audio quality. We're committed to getting better than that. So thank you, production team, for dealing with us. Thank you, listeners, for sticking with us. That said, I told Kev I wanted to dig into the layers of why it's so hard to set boundaries, because I think I'm good at some stuff. Success, reverse engineering finish lines, things like that. I've never really been good at setting boundaries, and I'm finally starting to get good at them. And so I think that, I've been very, very guilty of not honoring my core values in the past to an alarming extent when I look back. And I think the core of it comes down to when we were kids. I really, really do. If you were in a childhood that got punished, think about, so kids don't really know what's a good idea and what's a bad idea. When you're a kid, you don't really know much. So I'm going to tell this story. I remember my buddy Kiki and I, when we were very, very young, I don't know if I was like 7 or if I was 11 or I was 13. I genuinely can't remember my exact age, but I remember we had this home that I would go out the top story window, and him and I would climb to the top of the roof, and we had this huge arc that overlooked the lake. And I used to, by myself, go up there and we would shoot BB guns, and we would, not at each other, but we would shoot, we would try to hit birds and stuff, just boys being boys. And in hindsight, I regret some of that as well. But we were climbing the roof. We were a little bit reckless up there. And I remember one time, Kiki forgot to close the window, and my mom came home and she found out that the window was open, and then she put 2 and 2 together, and she's like, "You guys are up on the roof?" Recently, it was a couple nights ago, I was dreaming about some stuff, and I remember thinking back. I woke up after a bad dream, and I remember thinking about how reckless that was. I used to literally crawl and shimmy to the very end of that big arc. Kev, you've been to my house, so the deck that's overlooking the lake. The big arc at the top of that, I used to sit at the top of that, just overlooking during the summer when my mom was away. And the point that I'm making here is I got really punished for that. I got very punished for that. So I think what happens is you're a kid and you don't have good ideas. You have terrible ideas all the time. Okay? Very, very irrational, very unintelligent, very reckless, very dangerous ideas. And you get punished for them, and you get told no. Now you're an adult and you have great ideas, and you want to start a podcast, and that's actually a good idea. And you're still so conditioned that if your parents don't approve of it, or your aunt doesn't approve of it, or your uncle or your grandparents don't approve of it, or your friends don't approve of it, you're still so conditioned that I must not do it. I probably shouldn't do it, because I'm going to get punished. I'm going to get punished. I'm going to get disliked. I'm going to get judged. I think it's the same thing. We don't, in a weird, if an alien were to come down and to meet us, I know Kev likes this analogy too.
I love it.
And we were to say, hey, we only do what we want to do some of the time. And the alien would be like, well, why? And we'd be like, well, you kind of have to show up to the barbecue. And the alien would be like, why? Well, people will be upset with me if I don't. And the alien would be like, well, so what? What if they're upset with you? What does that matter? From a strictly practical place, from an emotional place, that matters a ton. Okay. But from a strictly practical place, you're not going to die. There's no real danger. Social danger isn't real. It's not real. Kev, someone can be watching this right now. Dislike me and you, there's no actual danger. They just move on with their lives. I got a negative comment on Conscious Couples podcast recently. I was really vulnerable and I was emotional, and someone commented saying, "You're such a girl," or something like that. And it's like, okay, whatever.
It's a very
and
adult,
I said, that's
very adult thing to say.
Yeah, extremely. Yeah, that person. So I ended up commenting back. I said, "That's not very constructive. Take care." That was it.
Hey everybody, my name is Bianca and I am the co-founder and COO of Evolve Ventures Technologies. The only reason I'm able to do the things that I'm able to do today is because of the guidance that Alan gave and how much he never gave up on me, even when I wanted to. If you are looking for a coach, if you're looking for a mentor, there is no one better than Alan. There's nobody who's done more research. There's nobody who's put in more effort than him. He will go above and beyond to make sure that you become everything you've ever dreamed of. And I'm the proof. Alan, you changed my life and I will forever be grateful for you.
But here's my point. We don't honor our core values because we don't do what we really want to do, because we're scared of judgment. We're scared of being conditioned. Just like I got yelled at and punished when I left the door open because I was playing on the roof with BB guns as a little boy, we are treating it the same way. Well, if I don't go to the wedding, then I'm going to get punished. Even if it's just energetically punished, even if it's just, I have 3 or 4 quote unquote friends of mine that I didn't end up going to a wedding or a party or something that haven't answered me. They haven't even gotten back. I don't know if they ever will. And they just don't understand that I value this business and Next Level University and my relationship with Emilia and building towards our goals and dreams more. And they can't get over the fact that I do value that more than whether or not I'm in attendance during their event. And to me, I think that's a little bit egocentric. I really do. Again, I think that, it's kind of like when we're kids, it's like, well, you didn't come to my birthday party. It's a little bit like that. And again, I do understand. I do, because obviously I'm important to them. And if they were important to me, they believe that I should be there. But at the end of the day, I value fitness. I value my relationship with Emilia. I value NLU. I value this mission. I value this business more. And I'm showing that with my actions. And so I've stopped pouring into relationships that I realize were built on me going outside of alignment.
I understand, though. I do understand why it's challenging for you, whether you're watching or listening, to not say no to certain things, because even to your point, sometimes when you set boundaries, other people set boundaries based on yours. So it's almost like, oh, you didn't come to my thing, I'm probably never going to look at you the same. So it's almost that when you set a boundary, maybe one of the reasons we don't set boundaries is because we know the reciprocation is going to be worse. Mm-hmm. If I don't go to this barbecue, am I never going to talk to this person again? And if that's running in your mind, I don't know. Again, I'm probably not the person to speak to that, because I'm just going to skip the barbecue either way. I don't want to go. I'd rather just not go. And my other thought has always been this.
Well, are you okay with them not? It doesn't seem like the downside bothers you that much.
Because the downside, like you said, for me, again, the previous episode was juggling emotion and logic. This is hyper logical. The logical side of this for me is if say you're somebody who has a lot of parties or barbecues or get-togethers, and I say, hey, I'm not going to be able to make this one, and you get upset with me, you're going to get very upset with me when I can't make the next 6. So this is probably not going to work out anyway. It's probably not
that
going
is
to work
very
out.
logical.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're doing essentially, and this is actually pretty intelligent, quite frankly, and you taught me this probably a year ago. You said, Alan, you're trying to sustain relationships that are never going to be sustainable anyway. It's not like you're going to have more time in the future.
Right.
When you have kids and when you have a family and when this business grows. Because one thing we've shared with you all at NLU is the next level doesn't make your life easier. It actually requires you to take a higher level of responsibility, no matter what it is. Even if if you want to get to the next level of fitness, now you have to work out more consistently. You have to stretch more consistently. You have to diet more consistently if you want to sustain that level. And that's, I think, the world's biggest lie is that success makes life easier. I say that tongue in cheek, but I actually think it's true. But you taught me that, Alan, these aren't going to be sustainable relationships anyway. So it's important for you to realize that in advance, and otherwise they're just going to keep on getting disappointed.
Yeah, it's almost like if you have to make something fit and you really, really, really have to make it fit, it's not super sustainable. It's almost like if both people, and I know we're talking about a specific instance, but if both people in the relationship, whatever it is, are giving too much, it's just not sustainable.
I know.
If you have to go way out of your way and I have to go way out of my way, we're actually way further away from each other than we were in the first place, kind of. Mm-hmm. It's just not sustainable. But I also understand that's very logical. But I've always had that thought of, if you're going to be upset that I can't come out, if I can't come to lunch on Wednesday, we're probably not going to be friends that long. Unfortunately. Not in the way you want us to be friends. I'm very happy to be friends in other ways, but it's more important to me to grow the business. It's more important to me to do the mission. It's more important to me to spend time with my wife. It's more important to record episodes. It just is. So understanding that about yourself, when you set a boundary, it doesn't necessarily mean you don't want to do the thing. It means you want to do something else more. And that's okay. Maybe you don't want to go to breakfast with somebody because you'd rather sleep. I don't know. I don't think you should feel guilty about that. Sleep's important. Depends on, to Alan's original point from Emilia, it's based on what the core value is. It's based on what your core value is. And I think beating yourself up over that is probably not going to be constructive long term. Anyway, what's your next level nugget? Because we got to go.
My next level nugget is,
son,
if you had a childhood where you were told no a lot, which is understandable because when we were kids, some of those things are keeping us from danger. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand why my mom didn't want me on the roof. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But I can go on the roof now if I want. I'm 34 years old. You know what I mean? So you can't act it the same way.
You're pull into your driveway. You're going to be sitting up on the roof looking.
Well, we sold that home, so I think I'd probably get arrested most likely. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. The new roof. But that's exactly it. I think that's my next level nugget is going on the roof was dangerous when I was 8. But if I want to go on the roof as a 34-year-old man, you ain't going to say anything about it. And I want all our listeners to realize that. Because I'm telling you, I coach a lot of people. This is the cheat code. I mean, well, honestly, I don't know. My partner's not going to really like that. I don't care. This is your life. Mm. And of course they're not going to like that. It's uncomfortable. They don't want to be uncomfortable. They're going to have to adjust to your new life, your new transformation. I would say that just look at your childhood, and if you got abused, or you got told no a lot, or you got conditioned or guilted or shamed for when you did maybe do some things that were maybe irrational, check in with yourself emotionally and say, am I still running that same paradigm? Am I still running and conditioned? And break free from that as an adult. You can make intelligent choices now, and you're treating yourself the same way as you used to.
Fire. Next Level Nation. Our 11th round of group coaching actually ended 2 nights ago. If you're listening to this, group 12 starts October 10th. Everything you need to know will be in the show notes, but with the discount code, it ends up being less than $97 a month. Again, a very, very, very affordable price for the amount of value you will get in the group. So if you have been waiting 10 rounds, maybe you said, I'll do the next one, I'll do the next one. We are opening it. It's ready to go. The landing page is all good. So please visit it and sign up if aligned. Tomorrow for episode number 1467, a reframe on judgment. We had a very, very powerful breakthrough recently on one of our team calls, and I think it would be a really good podcast episode. Alan doesn't know what I'm talking about yet, probably, but
I think I do.
You think you do? Well, you'll find out tomorrow. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we don't have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Keep setting strong boundaries. Next Level Nation.